Hi, Fleet Maull here again for Heart Mind Institute, formerly known as Windhorse Seminars Online. And in this short video, I would like to offer another resilience practice called 478 breathing. This has been popularized by Dr. Andrew Weil, a very well-known holistic physician, and he adapted it from the pranayama tradition from Indian yoga. And it's a very simple breath regulation practice. It has some similarities to straw breathing, which I've introduced in other videos. And so, like with all these resilience building practices and breath regulation, self-regulation practices, I feel they're very leveraged if we can do them in a more embodied way. So cultivating that quality of embodied presence, mindful presence. So let's begin there. And of course, you can do these practices anytime, anywhere, standing, walking, lying down, sitting, driving a car, what have you. You can do it with your eyes wide open. You can do it with your eyes closed, unless you're driving a car. So in whatever situation you find yourself right now as you're listening to this, whether you're sitting at your desk or in a chair or on a meditation cushion or wherever you might be, or even if you're listening to the audio of it on your phone while you're out walking or something. So just as you're ready, begin to gently bring your attention to your body with a quality of curiosity, openness, and non-judgment as much as possible. Anytime we're cultivating mindfulness and awareness of body and breath and of our entire experience, ideally we're cultivating a benevolent space of non-judgmental awareness in which we just let our experience arise and as it will. We welcome each arising in our sensate field and emotional field and so forth, and just allow things to come and go as they will within that space of that benevolent space of non-judgmental awareness. Okay, so to begin with, just being curious about our experience of being in the body right now, being curious about all the different actual physical sensations we can notice and feel, to begin with all across the surface of our skin from head to toe, which is one vast sensory organ. Could be the contact point between our body and a chair or our feet in the ground. Could be the weight of our clothing, the contact between our skin and our clothing. Could be the contact between the exposed surface areas of our skin and the air temperature in the room or outside, or the movement of air. And of course, the passage of air across the nostrils and parted lips with each in-breath and out-breath. So the invitation here is not to settle for, oh yeah, there's my body, I know that, but to actually penetrate into the direct moment-to-moment experience of being alive in our body, the actual physical sensations that make up that experience moment to moment. And then you're also invited to begin to explore the inner landscape of sensate experience within the body, activating this capacity we all have called interoception or interoceptive awareness, which is the body's capacity to feel itself from the inside out, as it were, based on the fact that the entire body is a living organism and it's all sensory, all connected to the nervous system, all the way down to the bones and including the bones. So tuning into and feeling the overall weight mass of the muscles and bones, any sensations of relaxation or tension, aliveness or numbness, the presence of any aches or pains or areas of discomfort in the body, the overall flow of nervous energy or just aliveness in the body. And whenever we notice our mind wandering, which is what minds do, we just gently bring it back. And we just keep coming back and back again to the body. And each time dropping in with a gentle intention to just stay with it as best we can. And with a real sense of curiosity. Like this is my life right here, right now. This is the only life I have, right? Being alive, being present in my body right now. And how deeply and vividly, clearly can I actually experience that? Okay, so within this context or this foundation of mindful presence, embodied presence, we'll begin to do the 4-7-8 practice. So like with straw breathing, we'll breathe in through the nose and then out through pursed lips. In through the nose, out through pursed lips. Now this breath regulation technique has 3 parts. We breathe in for a 4 count, then we hold for a 7 count, and then we breathe out through pursed lips for an 8 count. So thus it's called 4-7-8 breathing. Okay, so let's just do it, and I'll guide you in it. You can follow along, and eventually you'll develop your own rhythm, your own pacing, your own counting with it. And but if it works for you, try to follow along with what I'm guiding to begin with. And we'll begin with an in-breath, and first flashing this quality of deeply embodied presence as best we can, and then beginning with an in-breath. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So continue breathing in that way to the best of your ability. And as you can tell, I'm using the word in or hold or out as the first number, the first beat or count, and then continuing with 2, 3, and 4, etc. And as we hold the breath, we're actually holding the air and oxygen in our lungs, which is giving us an oxygen boost. Doing this 4-7-8 breathing is also stimulating the relaxation response, activating the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system, which is the opposite of the stress response, the sympathetic branch response. Right? So this is helping us downregulate when we get agitated or upregulated. And overall, it's kind of toning up, toning up our physiology, the vagal nerve, and just helping to really balance our physiology. So let's continue with an in-breath. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think you get the idea. Just keep breathing in that way. Let's do it in silence for a minute or so, and then we'll complete this exercise by just dropping back into basic mindfulness of body, mindfulness of breathing, and deeply embodied presence. Okay, so let's just do it in silence for a moment, breathing in a 4 count, holding a 7 count, breathing out through pursed lips, if that's comfortable for you, an 8 count. Okay, then just letting the rhythm of your breath return to its normal rhythm, just allowing the breath to be as it is. With basic mindfulness of body, mindfulness of breathing practice, we just let the breath be as it is. We just let it find its own rhythm. Just that natural ebb and flow, flowing in and out, just like waves lapping at the seashore. We're not trying to manipulate the breath in any way. It's really important to just let it be as it is. And with these various self-regulation techniques, resilience building techniques like straw breathing, box breathing, 4-7-8 breathing, and there are others, we are using the breath to consciously regulate our own physiology. Mostly what it is usually down-regulating. And when we become too agitated or upregulated, in modern life, we're all dealing with being a little too much in the stress zone or way too much in the stress zone most of the time, which is what we reference as chronic stress. So mostly we need to bring ourselves down, regulate back down to a more resourced baseline physiological state. And there are ways to upregulate if we're too lethargic. You can do that quick abdominal breathing. It's sometimes called fire breathing, just like that. You always want to be very gentle with that, not get carried away with it. But that kind of wakes up our physiology and does kick in the sympathetic branch response. But mostly what we need are these methodologies to downregulate a bit, bring us back to a more resourced baseline state. And, this really puts us in charge of our own physiological state, which helps us regulate emotions, regulate our behaviors, and thus really puts us more in the driver's seat of our own life, or at least the co-pilot seat. Otherwise, if we don't take responsibility for our own, physiological state, emotional, cognitive state, our own behavior and so forth, then we're really just kind of being pushed around by the world around us, right? We're allowing the world to be in charge of our internal physiological state. And, sometimes that may work out all right, and sometimes it doesn't work out so well, as we all know. So I would encourage you to just work with these practices, and so they become very familiar to you, and you can just do them anywhere. I use a lot of them when I used to before we're in the middle of a global pandemic where we are now in early 2020. I traveled a lot, and so a lot of drives to the airport and a lot of white knuckle drives in bad weather. And I use these breath regulation techniques all the time to keep myself well balanced and not too stressed out. I usually make it to the airport, get through security and to the gate and make my flight, and while staying resourced and relaxed, relatively so at least. And I also deliver a lot of trainings. I do a lot of teaching and training. And so when I'm up in front of people, I'm doing these breath regulation techniques all the time, which keeps me well resourced. It enhances my performance, I believe. And I do some really long days. And at the end of the day, I don't feel exhausted. I still feel resourced and ready to go because I'm consciously working with the breath, which is so closely tied to our physiological state and emotional state, cognitive state, and really even our spiritual state. So anyway, I encourage you to work with these simple tools, make them your own so that you have them available to you anytime, anywhere. And I wish you the best. Thank you.